Well, we got ourselves a gorgeous night for baseball in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Bob Walker Stadium, that's where we're currently at. We've got the second game of a two-game series, midweek series, between the Arkansas Razorbacks, the number 5 team in the country, against the in-state rival Little Rock. Little Rock last night, a little bit of a tough go defensively with 5 errors committed, and it was a 7-inning, 10-0 victory by the Razorbacks. So Little Rock looking to bounce back here tonight to try to at least split the series. Hi, everybody. We welcome you inside our broadcast and back to SEC baseball here on the SEC Network. He's Todd Walker. I'm Victor Rojas. So glad you could join us. And TW, let's talk a little bit about this Razorbacks ball club, because even though you take a couple of guys out in a midweek matchup out of the lineup, they still have plenty of reserves that provide enough punch.
Man, they can really swing the bats. 329 as a group for Arkansas. They scored 51 runs against Missouri a few weeks ago in 3 games. They've got 4 of the top 10 hitters within the SEC, including that guy right there, Cam Kozul. This Arkansas offense is special. 329, like I mentioned, 89 home runs and scoring a little less than 10 runs per game.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, Little Rock picked up a victory against Arkansas. At the same time, they were number 5 in the country 2 seasons ago. But last week, let's see if Little Rock can kind of bring some of that magic back. Last week, they took care of Ole Miss.
Yeah, about 8 days ago. Cooper Chaplin with that base hit in the 8th inning. Go-ahead run for Little Rock. They end up winning this game 7-3, so they're no strangers to upsets in midweeks.
Take a look at the lineup for Chris Curry, now in his 11th season at the helm at Little Rock, and pretty good stacked lineup. Starting to get healthy. Cooper Chaplin in the number 5 spot. He's the team's leading hitter at 349. This is a team that can put some runs on the board. As mentioned, they have dealt with a lot of injuries, both offensively and from the pitching side of things. That lineup is going to take on the 6'3", 225 left-hander out of Noble, Oklahoma. It's Colin Fisher on the bump for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, Colin making his 5th start of the year. He's got 9 appearances out of the bullpen. He's an Oklahoma kid, the number 2 prospect out of high school a few years ago. 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 27 strikeouts in 26 innings. Got the low 90s fastball, sliders to left-handers, changeups to righties. He uses the slider more than he actually does the fastball against the left-handed hitters, and why not? He gets a swing and miss of 53% on that slider. It's pretty impressive.
And they don't waste a whole lot of time in midweeks. Love it. Just get the ball and go. 2 balls and no strikes. Pardon me, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now it's 2-1. Alex Seguin, the shortstop, 255 hitter this year. 7 extra base hits, 23 runs batted in, the leadoff man. Senior out of Long Beach, California. That is a called strike 3, painted on the inside part of the plate, and there's out number 1.
Well, I don't know what Seguin was looking for right there. Fisher just pumped it right down the middle on a couple fastballs and just got frozen solid on that at bat. A lot of times as a hitter, you might be looking off speed a little too much, and it goes to the pitcher's advantage just to be able to pump a fastball in there. If you're looking off speed and they throw that high velocity fastball in there, you're going to get frozen.
Zach Henry, the DH, step in and take ball 1 outside. Henry's one of those guys that mentioned that has been injured, just slowly getting back in the lineup. DH last night, back in the DH spot today. Out for a little while, dealing with a sports hernia. And Coach Kerr was talking earlier today about hoping to get him back out in the outfield by this weekend. Hitter 254 on the season with 5 extra base hits, 12 runs batted in. It's a Trojans team that is 18-21 on the year and 7-7 within the conference, the Ohio Valley Conference. Two one. Break the ball a little bit high.
Yeah, there's that look on that sweeper from Colin Fisher. Again, he'll use that thing about 55, 56% of the time to left-handed hitters in the fastball, only about 45%. So he loves that slider to left-handed hitters.
Hit on the ground at the middle, backhanded by the second base. A little bit of a slip there by Gabe Frazier. Still able to straighten up and get the out at first base. 2 down. Got to replace your divot. There's Coach Curry. Chris Curry in his 11th season. Native of Little Rock. And when this opportunity presented itself, he was excited to get back there. One-time assisted under Dave Van Horn here at Arkansas. Ryan Geck fouling off the first pitch. Geck, team leader in doubles and RBIs, 10 and 36 respectively. Another Long Beach guy. Just off the plate.
Chris Curry actually coached at Northwestern State, and the reason that's significant is there's a long line of really great coaches that have come out of Northwestern State in Natchez, Louisiana. Jim Wells, Dave Van Horn coached there, Mike Bianco at Ole Miss, Lane Burroughs, who's now at Louisiana Tech, and Chris Curry.
It's a breeding ground for coaches.
Yeah, there you go.
2 outs, nobody on. Geck with the 2-1 count. Chopper foul. Count is even. 14th appearance for Colin Fisher, 3-0. A 4.22 ERA, pitching on a beautiful, beautiful day in Fayetteville. Scheduled to get some rain beginning tomorrow. Arkansas will head to Florida for this weekend. This one past the diving Aloy. And that'll go as, I would imagine, a 2-out base hit.
Well, if they pin an error on him, that would be tough. That's a base hit all the way for Ryan Deck at the 3 spot. This guy's special. Vahiva Aloy leads the SEC in hitting. Plays a prime position at shortstop. Cannon for an arm on the left side. He's going to be a big-time player in the Major League draft.
He just seems like he continues to get better and better as Ty Rhodes, the third baseman, looks at a strike. Rhodes at .305 on the season. 5 home runs and 30 runs batted in. Fisher working with a man at first base. 0-1.
So the reason that stat's important about the sliders from Colin Fisher, if you're Ty Rhodes and your lefty-lefty matchup, you can just about guarantee you're getting 2 or 3 sliders in at bat if you last that long. So on an 0-1 pitch, you can, it's always percentages as a hitter. You're kind of guessing along. We call it an educated guess, but you can pretty much book it. You're going to get some sliders from Colin Fisher, and you just sit on it, and it looks like it's coming right at you, and that's the ball you go after. The one that comes at you and ends up over the plate.
Is that as a hitter, especially a lefty-lefty matchup, when you start maybe saying, okay, I'm going to take the outer 2/3 of the plate, and if he dots me inside, so be it?
Well, I'm looking for the one that's coming at me. And again, you can look for the slider because you're going to get it. There's another one. And if you're looking for it, whatever it may be as a hitter, it just makes the job less difficult. It's never easy, but as a hitter, it's called an educated guess process on the count and what the situation is, what the pitcher has. And, you know, ultimately, if you're looking for something, you can recognize it a lot better than if you're just trying to defend against 3 or 4 different pitches.
Long hole for Fisher and a pickoff attempt over at first base, and he's able to get back in there.
It's the head fake that gets you. So as a runner at first, when Fisher looks at you and then he looks home, you kind of get a little lazy on that one look. So Fisher right there looked home but then went to first, almost got him. And that's the head fake is what gets you when you get picked off by a left-handed pitcher.
1-2, got him with a breaking ball. They apply the tag, and we're done in the top of the first. Razorbacks coming to the plate. We're scoreless.
So, do you do tricks?
No, Richard, I'm a genius. I'm not doing tricks for you.
Right.
Oh, all right, fine. I'll show you one trick. Toss me your phone. Okay, here we go. NerdWallet will find the right credit card or auto insurance for you in minutes.
Yep, just by answering a few simple questions.
Wow, smart.
Yeah, it's smart. It's genius, Richard.
Genius, Richard.
Genius! Nerds!
Yellow. Didn't pass the tissue test?
Dr. Garcia?
Buckle up.
Whoa! Crest Reality Checkup!
There's toothpaste white, and then there's Crest 3D White Strips white. Oh, one sec.
Crest 3D White Strips safely work below the enamel surface to whiten like a $400 professional treatment.
Prepare for a non-stop smile.
The #1 teeth whitening brand in America.
And use Crest 3D White toothpaste to maintain your smile.
Crest.
Scoreless here in the bottom of the first inning. We'll take a look at Dave Van Horn starting lineup for game number 43. And Todd, you mentioned Vahiva Aloy defensively, but offensively, he's just a specimen batting in the number 2 spot tonight.
Yeah, leading the league in SEC, which is almost, more powerful to say than you're leading the country, because we all know the SEC conference is one of the best in the country. The teams you're facing week in and week out are incredible. So what Vahiva Aloy has done in his junior season now has been really impressive. But then you got Cam Kozul, Iredale, who was really hot early in the season. I mean, this lineup 1 through 9 really doesn't have any weak outs.
Little Rock sending out Noah Berkey to the bump, 6'1", 215 right-hander, redshirt senior from Poplar Bluff, Missouri. This could be an opener situation as Little Rock is getting ready and gearing up for this weekend's conference games.
Yeah, Missouri State transfer, mostly fastballs to left-handed hitters. He throws fastballs about 80% to them. Mixes better against right-handed hitters. High 80s on that fastball. 2 looks at spinners, the 12-6 and the sweeping slider action, plus the change. He's going to have to land his off speed, because if he's not landing the changeup and the curveball for strikes, his fastball becomes predictable. And at 89, 90 miles an hour, that can get turned around quick here at Baum-Walker Stadium.
8th appearance, first start. No record, 5 innings, 8 walks, 2 strikeouts. So it'll be a short-lived outing for him as he just gets some work in. Dowland, Aloy, and Maxwell, top 3 of the order for the Razorbacks. Dowland playing in center field tonight. Traditionally, we see him quite a bit in left field. Has a 1-ball, 1-strike count. What a season he's had in his first with the Razorbacks. 377, 12 home runs, 43 runs batted in for the Florida Gulf Coast University transfer.
And what you love about him, he only strikes out about 6% of the time. That's Tony Gwynn numbers. That's off the charts. You saw him spin on that changeup right there. He didn't even flinch. I mean, he's got a great eye. Picks it up earlier than most.
Shift was on. This one hit right to Seguin. He'll retire, Dowland. And there's out number 1. Before Vahiva comes to play, take a look at Dave Van Horn. 23rd season, 3-time SEC Coach of the Year. 7 College World Series appearances. He's got the Razorbacks in a good position again. You were talking about it before the game, about how deep this team is this year. They're somewhat poised, once they get through the gauntlet of the SEC, poised to make a run deep.
I think you got to like this team a little better. I mean, they had one of the best pitchers in the country last year in Hagen Smith, but that puts a lot of pressure on that guy to go out and win every baseball game. They're more balanced this year, I think Arkansas is, with Landon Beidelshees. Remember, he was the ace of Ohio State last year. He's come over. He's done well. Zach Root has been pitching game 1s for him. He's been good. They got Gage Wood back, so now that moves Gabe Gackle back to the bullpen. The pitching staff's off the charts good for Arkansas. They've just got a complete team this year.
Aloy going the other way, and it's tracked down in right field by Ryan Geck. 2 down. Razorbacks at number 5 in the country now, 35-7, 13-5 in the SEC, trailing Texas. Texas, the number 1 team in the country at 16-2. And then you got LSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt all of a sudden getting hot.
Speaking of hot, how about Texas A&M?
How about that?
Who came into Fayetteville this past weekend, beat them 2-3. Arkansas does not lose at home. I mean, Missouri State beat them on March 25th in an extra inning game, and then A&M got them twice. But for A&M to come into Fayetteville and win 2, it shows you how hot that team is playing. They go to Austin this weekend against Texas. How about that series?
Yeah. That is, that will be all over social media, that's for sure. No love lost between those 2 clubs.
Well, and then the whole Schlossnagel deal and him going over and the way that all worked out and played out. There is some emotion involved in that series this weekend.
2-1. Maxwell rolls it up the line, foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Maxwell serving as the DH today. You mentioned the Razorbacks are tough at home. They're 26-3 at home this year. It seems like every year they're a 30-win team at home. 2-2. Just off the plate. Full boat. Carson Bowles on deck.
And that wasn't a bad pitch, but you'll see these Arkansas hitters they know the strike zone so well. So even a couple millimeters off the sides, they don't even flinch at it. They just take it. There's ball 4.
Yeah, 2 out free pass, puts a man on for Arkansas.
And that's what Little Rock can't do. Like you mentioned, they made 5 errors last night, a bunch of free passes. You do that to Arkansas, you lose. And so Chris Curry right there has stressed, we talked to him earlier today about filling up the strike zone, throwing strikes, using your primary pitch to get ahead. And, you start giving away free passes in Fayetteville to this Arkansas club, and it's going to be real tough.
Yeah, Coach talking about the meeting he had with his club last night, basically just laying it out for him. The team that you can't have beat you is you. You can't
Correct.
beat yourself. Arkansas, they're good enough as it is. They don't need any help.
And that sounds easy, and it's a great message. All of a sudden you stop worrying about the environment, and you're in. A bunch of these kids for Little Rock, grew up in the state of Arkansas, so you're playing a team that you probably followed more than any other team, and you can imagine the intimidation factor coming into a place like this. And that's Chris Curry, and that's what his job is to relay to these guys. It's still a game of baseball, and you got to do the fundamentals right.
Bowles behind in the count at 0-2, starting left fielder today. There's a fastball called strike 3. And nothing happening for the Razorbacks in their half of the first. 1 complete.
How about this? Noah Berkey, not afraid of anything, just zips it right through Carson Bowles, the 4-hitter, and Little Rock off the field.
So, do you do tricks?
No, Richard, I'm a genius. I'm not doing tricks for you.
Right.
Oh, all right, fine. I'll show you one trick. Toss me your phone. Okay, here we go. NerdWallet will find the right credit card or auto insurance for you in minutes.
Yep, just by answering a few simple questions.
Wow, smart.
Yeah, it's smart. It's genius, Richard.
Genius, Richard.
Genius! Nerds!
Coming to a contact.
Yellow. Didn't pass the tissue test?
Dr. Garcia?
Buckle up.
Whoa! Press reality checkup.
There's toothpaste white, and then there's Crest 3D White Strips white. Oh, one sec.
Crest 3D white strips safely work below the enamel surface to whiten like a $400 professional treatment.
Prepare for a non-stop smile.
The #1 teeth whitening brand in America.
And use Crest 3D White toothpaste to maintain your smile.
Crest.
Top of the second, 5, 6, 7 coming up for Little Rock. Look at Arkansas. Since 2017, they have the most wins in Division I under Dave Van Horn. 7 straight 40-plus win seasons. I mean, that's impressive when you think of all the teams that play Division I baseball. Best result, 2018, second place, which some of the Arkansas fans won't want to remember, but 6 seasons reaching the top 2 in rank. It seems like Dave Van Horn has this team in position every year to make a run for Omaha, and just what an impressive resume that he has put together. And whether they seem like a great put-together team or not, they always seem to be in good shape. And this year, it's got to be one of the better teams he's ever had.
It's funny about the game of baseball, right? It doesn't matter, on paper, everything looks great. You should be poised to do X, but any given day, right, anything can happen, especially when you're dealing with the SEC tournament or even get into the regional supers, the College World Series. And, it's close but no cigar. It takes a lot to get that team as close as he has for so many years.
Well, we talked about, after this play.
Nice play by the second baseman, Gabe Frazier, for the first out.
Yeah, remember, Souza is out for the year. And so, Frazier's in there, only his 10th start of the year, and that's a short hop on the run. That's a nice play by the second baseman. Arkansas has 368 wins. That's better than Tennessee, Oregon State, who won that game 2018 in the finals, and then LSU. I mean, that's some pretty impressive programs, and you put Arkansas at the top. Shows you how much success they've had since 2017. But this is the year they're focused on, and the schedule doesn't benefit them. You look at any schedule in the SEC, it's pretty impressive. But for Arkansas, they go to Florida this weekend. They have Texas at home, at LSU, and then Tennessee to end. So Dave Van Horn said, if we can get through this gauntlet the next 4 weeks, I mean, we're in position to beat anybody.
I was just going to say, is there is there an SEC team who's positioned as far as the schedule that it falls in their favor? I mean, it's a gauntlet, like you said. I mean, there's no days off. I mean, right now, maybe with the struggles that Missouri is going through and trying to get that program back up and running the way they want to, but there's no easy weekend. This one's grounded out to short. Angel Cano's retired for round number 2.
No, and if you talk to Dave Van Horn, I mean, he wasn't sweating it. He said, we're going to be, if we can get through this, just get through it, then we're going to be in a position where, we can beat anybody. And, they've swept 3 of the first 4 weekends in the SEC, beat Ole Miss 2 out of 3 in the opener. And then lately over the last 2 weekends, they've won 1 at Georgia and A&M, 1 game at home. But the goal is, especially when you go on the road, is to win 1 game, out of the 3 in the SEC. And they've done that. They haven't been swept, so they're in good shape.
Martin over to Aloy. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Fish. We'll head to the bottom of the second with no score.
Know what's even more genius than me, Richard? Having NerdWallet find a personal loan with the lowest rate for you. Just answer a few simple questions and bam!
Wow, you are smart.
Yeah, of course, Richard. I've mastered the English language.
Cabin crew contact.
Yellow. Didn't pass the tissue test?
Dr. Garcia?
Buckle up.
Whoa! Press reality checkup.
There's toothpaste white, and then there's Crest 3D White Strips white. Oh, one sec.
Crest 3D White Strips safely work below the enamel surface to whiten like a $400 professional treatment.
Prepare for a non-stop smile.
The #1 teeth whitening brand in America.
And use Crest 3D White toothpaste to maintain your smile.
Crest.
This is where everybody wants to play. This is where everybody wants to coach. This is where the best are.
SEC Network, your home for SEC baseball.
It's not game day until you grab a snack. Farm Rich, the official frozen snack of the SEC.
Bottom of the second in Fayetteville. Bark in the Park Day. They've got dogs and puppies and all kinds of things going on here. This beautiful day for baseball. No score. Kozel, Iredale, and Frazier coming up for the Razorbacks. Both teams have had one-man reach. Little Rock had Ryan Geck reach on a single in the first inning. Logan Maxwell drew a 2-out walk at the bottom of the first. That's it so far. Noah Berkey picked up 1 strikeout, 1 walk in the first inning, out there for second inning. Hey, when you're that efficient as an opener, you can go, you get an extra inning, right? This one hit hard right to second base. 1 down.
Man, this game's not fair. You do all you can do, and you're 0 for 1. Kozel right there just ripped it right at second baseman Chaplin. Little top spin on that ball. He was out in front. A little long of a swing, but man, right on the screws. Could have been anywhere but there in a base hit. And nice play at second base.
Iredale, the third baseman, up. He'll hit one to the right side and through with the shift on, so he is on board with the Razorbacks' first hit of the evening.
Vic, you coach. I mean, can we have a 2-hour discussion on the shift and how the eye test will tell you it gets busted just as much as it works?
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to shift, you kind of have to pitch to the shift, do you not?
Correct.
I mean, it's counterproductive if you don't.
And what that basically means, what that basically means right there is if a hitter's looking off speed and you pump a fastball in there, he's going to be late on it, and then that's what happens. You get a base hit to right field, and you have to pitch to it for sure. And not a fan of the shift. I know the spray charts will tell you should do it, but again, over the last 10 years of watching this, it gets busted as many times as it works. And then you think about the psyche of the pitcher, because he didn't call it, the coaches call it, and you turn around and nobody's in a spot. It's got to upset the pitcher just a little bit.
Gabe Frazier at the plate with a 1-0 count. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Todd, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with what's going on that day. And I've always, joked, but I'm kind of serious about, the analytics side of things, that it's a jumping off point, right? It's a good reference point to get you ready for a game, but it does not update in real time based on the circumstances that are happening in game. So while you could take that previous information and set your lineup up that way or defense up that way, what's the guy on the mound capable of doing, and can he execute, to that historical data that you've kind of set your defense and or your offense up to? And I think that's the challenge, right? It's like, look, this is what the history is, but can my guy do it today? I know it's only been one inning for Berkey out there, but can he execute based on what we need to do right now? I know it's a lot of words I just said, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Are we still talking about the shift?
Yes, yeah. Well, everything, anything from an analytical perspective.
Well, and I would say as a hitter, there were days I showed up with a lot of energy and probably overswung on that day. And there were other days when I was more relaxed and chill, and I'm not going to have the same results, to your point. And then a lot of other factors with the pitcher and everything else. But they do want Berkey to go as long as he can, for Noah. But, Chris Curry's realistic expectations is he get one time through this lineup. But, he's not going to be a kid that's intimidated by this deal. I mean, he's a redshirt senior. He's been around. So, he's done well so far.
3-1 count on Frazier. Runner takes off, and it's ball 4. So Iredale moves to second base. On the base on balls, 2 on with 1 out for Kendall Diggs.
2 walks and 2 innings for Noah Berkey. Again, you no matter who you are, you start walking guys and you're asking for trouble. But when you're walking the number 1 offense in the country, in my opinion, definitely the number 1 in the SEC, then you're going to give up some runs. And this is exactly what Chris Curry was talking about, not beating ourselves. And so far, just tough for him to find the zone.
First one of Diggs is in for a strike. Diggs is starting right fielder, hitting 189. Oh, pardon me, ball 1. Looked pretty good. This was looped out down the line, and backhanding the play, getting away from the infield is Ty Rhodes for out number 2. Terrific play by the Little Rock third baseman.
Outstanding play. On the run, and your eyes start bouncing around when you're chasing that ball. Then you got to navigate the wall, like how fast is the wall coming up to me, keeping your concentration, and then making that great catch and losing his hat in the process for the second out. What a great play at third base by Rhodes.
Two out, 2 on. Breaking ball misses low. Zane Becker, the starter, freshman out of Flower Mound, Texas. 286 this year. 3 doubles, a home run, 6 runs batted in. He'll foul this one off. 1-1.
And the other issue, Vic, with walking guys is the problem isn't necessarily just putting guys on, but it's also falling behind other hitters. I mean, if you don't have control, then you're going to be putting yourself in more hitters' counts. And then in Kendall Diggs right there, it worked out, but he got 2 fastballs in a row. So as a hitter, I know if the pitcher's struggling out there with command, he's going to start throwing more fastballs.
Berkey 1 strike from getting out of this. 1-2. Breaking ball, little tapper foul up the third base side. No score here in the bottom of the second. Arkansas taking the 7-inning victory last night. Run ruling Little Rock. Off speed, got him. Second strikeout. Berkey has a couple of men on base and leaves him stranded.
How about Noah Berkey with the spinner? 12-6 curveball just fools the 9-0 Zane Becker. Little Rock hanging in there after 2.
Know what's even more genius than me, Richard? Having NerdWallet find a personal loan with the lowest rate for you. Just answer a few simple questions and bam!
Wow, you are smart.
Yeah, of course, Richard. I've mastered the English language.
You have a UTI at 30,000 feet. Yeah, you need a doctor. Good thing you can chat with an Amazon One medical provider from anywhere. That way, beds will be at your hotel, maybe even before you arrive. Now just brace your urethra for turbulence.
Welcome everyone to Omaha, Nebraska, home of the College World Series.
Here I come, I wear it all on my sleeve, so everything you see shows you where I'm from.
Bolts back and makes the catch! Somehow hung on! Back-to-back jacks!
More, can you believe it?
That's crazy to think we're already at that time of year talking about the College World Series. It begins June 13th on ESPN. Scoreless here at the top of the third. And typical midweek fashion, we've got a pitching change to start this third inning. As Colin Fisher is done after 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit allowed. And he gives way to Steele Eaves, the freshman, who's 6'0", 6 feet I should say, 210 pounds. No record, 6th appearance for him. He's got a 3.18 ERA and just over 5 innings of work.
Low 90s fastball can get up to about 94 miles an hour. And then the slider to go along with it. Slider, it's a whiff of about 45%. So he'll show you that fastball and then come after you with that slider, especially the right-handed hitters. But fairly accurate around the plate. And looking for him to eat up a few innings here. You're probably going to see 6 or 7 guys from Arkansas, and same with Little Rock. But he's out there to do the job for the next couple innings anyway.
8, 9, and 1 for Little Rock, Blaylock, Wilbanks, and Seguin. Breaking ball from Eaves, misses inside. Jace Blaylock, the left fielder. Granville, Georgia native. He was hit by a pitch last night. A little breaking ball. It kind of looked like he tried to duck his head, and the ball hit him in the face. Kind of grazed him in the face. Clearly all right since he's back in there. So this one's chopped foul. It's 2-1. Blaylock at 236, 6 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Started his collegiate career at Georgia Tech. Chopper toward the middle. That'll sneak through for a leadoff single.
Well, we're talking to Chris Curry. You know, the fastballs up in the zone don't usually work unless you got high velocity behind it, 95, 96, 97 miles an hour. That ball was elevated to the 8-hole Jace Blaylock, and he was able to turn that thing around.
We'll hear from Coach Curry coming up. Number 9 hitter and center fielder Reed Wilbanks. Showing bunt and fouls it at the plate. A little bit of a late show for a sack bunt.
Yeah, and you got Iredale on the grass. I don't love, you know, if you're sack bunting the guy over second base, you're depending on the guys behind you. It is rolling the lineup over, but you're depending on those guys to get a base hit, and you're giving Arkansas an out. And oh, by the way, this is not going to be a close 2-3 game. I mean, this is going to be, you know, high offense.
Go to second base, and Aloy, who was not on the base, is able to get the foot there, and they get the force out. So the sacrifice did not work. Instead, it works as a fielder's choice. 1 down.
Yeah, Iredale was all over it. And when you see the third baseman bringing it down your neck like that, you probably need to pull back, slash, do something different. But just a natural, nice little hop over to Iredale, who fires it over to second base for the first out.
You know, the old traditional 5-6 put out at second base.
That's right.
Seguin, the shortstop, struck out looking at his first plate appearance. It's a Little Rock team that doesn't run a whole lot, just 35 bags on the season as a team. Little backup breaking ball for a strike. Pretty good leave right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one that looks like a strike. And if you can't pick up the spin, looks like the fastball right down the middle. And Seguin makes a nice job just taking that pitch. But that's a swing and miss pitch for sure.
Jammed it with a fastball in. Iredale's only play is going to go to first as Wilbanks was on the move. 2 down. So Little Rock with a man in scoring position. Compounding the issue for hitters now, obviously, is with the shadows at the 5 o'clock local time start. Home plate's now fully engulfed in the shadow while the pitcher's still in the sunshine.
Yeah, when that baseball changes colors like that, it was always difficult, for me as a hitter. But right there you see them try the sac bunt, doesn't work, so they put the guy in motion and they get the job done. 1 out too late. Now the 2 outs, they do have a guy in scoring position.
Zach Henry, the DH up. He grounded out his first plate appearance. Two balls, no strikes. Was there a key as a hitter for you when you were dealing with the shadows? I mean, you're just trusting the eyes or trying to trust the eyes.
I always felt like as a pitcher you got to throw more fastballs because it is difficult to see as a hitter. But there wasn't much you could do differently.
On the corner, you see the run that Eves has, 2-1.
Yeah, he's not a 3/4 guy, but he is sinker slider. So usually you see those guys drop down a little bit. But that ball has some late movement, away from the left-handed barrel.
Just off the plate, 3-1.
Now this is a situation where you don't split the plate. You got first base open with 2 outs. I always thought as a pitcher now you can dance around, try to get a swing and miss. If you walk him, it's not that big of a deal. You got forces around the bags with 2 outs.
Goes breaking ball on a 3-1 count.
That's what makes this a bit difficult, Vic, is you don't know what to expect. Generally, 3-1, 3-2 is fastball, but in this particular situation, Henry's got to know that he's not just going to give up that run by throwing it right down the middle.
Payoff on the way to Henry. And a chopper toward the middle. Aloy's got it over to first. And the side is retired. We held to the bottom of the 3rd inning with no score. Bottom of the 3rd in Fayetteville. We are scoreless. Starter for Little Rock, Noah Berkey, back out on the bump for his 3rd inning of action as the lineup gets flipped for Arkansas. It's our pleasure to welcome in the head coach of the Trojans of Little Rock, Chris Curry, in his 11th season. Coach, we appreciate the time. And, you mentioned earlier today about Noah, being an opener. And typically when you hear opener, it's maybe one time through the order. But he's looked pretty good. And now you've sent him back out there for at least to start the 3rd inning.
Yeah, well, we think we would probably look back and regret it if after those 2 innings we pulled him and went to somebody else. So we're going to ride the hot hand. Noah's throwing as good as we've seen in a couple of weeks, and it strikes, and we've got some guys behind him ready to go, so we're going to keep it going.
Chris, you've got experience bringing a team into Fayetteville and beating this Arkansas Razorback team back in 2023. What was your message to the group coming into, last night and then tonight, this series?
Well, number one, you can't be intimidated. You can't be sped up. We can't help them like we did yesterday. We got to have some things go our way. We've already had a couple of line-outs there to second and right field, and so you start to believe that maybe things are swinging our way. You've got to have a great start, which Berkey has given us. We've had a little action on the bases. We tried to bunt for a hit there. It was a little too firm to the third baseman. Then we tried a little hit-and-run action, so we're trying to be more aggressive. Great play by Ty Rhodes at third. So early on, I see a little more juice, a little more aggressiveness out of our team.
Coach, I want to ask you about your time as an assistant under Dave Van Horn and what it was like to be working here at Arkansas and then coming back as a head coach and bringing your squad in to take on the Razorbacks.
Well, not only did I learn so much about how to run a program and how to treat people, I was coaching with great people, Dave Jorn, Clay Goodwin, Todd Butler, but also just Coach Van Horn treated my wife and myself so good off the field that just all the way around, how to recruit, how to prepare, how to make in-game decisions. And Coach and I still chat from time to time, and he's been very gracious and respectful, and he's done so much for baseball in the state of Arkansas.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Good luck tonight, and then obviously the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, guys.
You got it, because Curry watches the single float out to left field off the bat of Charles Davalon. So leadoff man is on board to start the third inning for Arkansas.
You know, Dave Van Horn at BP usually sits on the opposite side to make these hitters, not necessarily, it's more of a target, but it's not necessarily to guide the ball, but it's kind of showing them to go up the middle the other way. You see right there Charles Davalon and why he's such a great hitter. Just taking the ball where it's pitched, you know, the ball's sinking away from him, so it initially looks like it's down the middle and something you can pull, but he's patient, waits on it, drives it the opposite way, and the base hit. And again, that's why Davalon's hitting for such a high average.
Vahivo Aloy takes a breaking ball inside. He lined out to right in his first inning at bat. Team leader in batting average, doubles, home runs. As you can see, doesn't get cheated in his hacks.
And that's what they had to clean up a little bit. A lot of free swing and misses, and you know, last year, and you know, he's cut down on his strikeouts. You know, hitting for the same amount of power, but a little more disciplined at the plate this year. And using the other side of the field. Freshman year at Sacramento State, he came in, hit 376 there in 56 games, and then last year hit 270 at Arkansas. But his average is almost 100 points higher because of his ability to put more balls in play, and then like you've seen right there, let the ball travel deeper in the zone and hit the ball the other way.
This one lined out toward center field. Back-to-back hits to open up the third inning for Arkansas.
Well, this is why velocity matters, I think. One time through the lineup, you can trick and fool some teams, but the second time through, they've got the tempo, the timing. That's why I always thought that, you know, as a hitter, the more you face a pitcher, the more it becomes a hitter's advantage, both for that at bat, pitch by pitch, and throughout the game. And right now, Arkansas is timed up Noah Berkey, and you're seeing the results right here. Second time through the lineup.
Double barrel action going for Little Rock. Get a visit to the mound here. See how long they stick with Noah Berkey. Mentioned this is his 8th appearance, and Coach Curry talked about he hadn't pitched this well in the last couple of weeks. Just 5 innings, 6 hits, 8 walks, 2 strikeouts prior to the spot start today. So we'll see how much longer they end up going with him. Hey, Saturday we have baseball tripleheader right here on the SEC Network. 10th ranked Georgia hosts 14th ranked Oklahoma at noon Eastern. Then number 5 Arkansas takes on Florida. We cap the day off with number 9 Vanderbilt and number 23 Ole Miss in Oxford. Boy, Vanderbilt jumping as much as they did after a heck of a series this past weekend at home, sweeping Georgia.
They've swept 2 of the last 3 weekends. Swept Florida a few weekends ago. Now they got Ole Miss this weekend. Vandy playing better. And that's a check. See if they're going to bunt. You're kind of watching the hitter. And as a hitter, we were taught, you know, not to show anything. In fact, expect that. That way, if you do have the bunt on, that you know, you don't show them that that's what you're trying to do, but they're trying to pick up something. I can't imagine 3, 4, 5 coming up for Arkansas with nobody out that they've given out by bunting them, but they are.
Pops it up, and Berkey's got it. Almost get a double play out of it. So Maxwell retired for out number 1.
So the issue there is, you know, you're trying to trick people, maybe bunt for a base hit, whatever, and if you're going to try to pull a bunt as a left-handed hitter, it's got to be a pitch to do it. So for me, if you're trying to bunt, at the very least you should get runners over. But he shows it late, keeps the barrel flat, which means it's going to go up in the air. You want to keep it kind of at an angle, but ultimately set up early. Set up early. If you put a bunt down it's a good bunt in the right spot, it's at the very least going to be the sack bunt, but maybe a base hit. But you try to trick everybody, and that can happen.
Carson Bowles takes a breaking ball downstairs. Struck out looking in the first. Back-to-back breaking balls against Bulls. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks for Berkey. 3 hits allowed, 2 of which have come here in the third inning.
Carson Bowles is one of these guys in this day and age we live in with transfer portal and everything else. You know, hit 368 coming into this game. This is only his 10th start. So Dave Van Horn had told us that, you know, I love the communication he gives to a guy like that, because Carson Bowles got to be thinking, why can't I get any burn? Why can't I get in the game? And, you know, he had a big game a few weeks ago where Dave Van Horn went up to him and said, hey, have you ever hit 2 doubles and a homer or whatever it is and not played the next day? And that's exactly the situation he was in, but he's getting a chance to play now.
Saw his numbers with men in scoring position, 379. We'll hear from Coach Van Horn next half inning. Berkey had 44 pitches, 2-1 count with 1 out, 2 on. Just a little bit low, 3-1. This one shot out right field line and slicing foul. So full count. Another check in at second base. Davalon's back easily. This one's popped up. Breaking ball just backed up enough to get the out of it. This one down the line. Heck of a play on the scoop by Angel Cano. Not an easy play at all. They get the out. Davalon advances to third base. There are 2 down.
Fabulous play at first base, but what I love is he was aware. Usually you make a play like that, you kind of dig yourself a little bit, and you know it was a great play, and you don't look up. Nice job getting the ball back in the infield with 2 outs.
So both corner infielders for Little Rock have made spectacular plays in foul territory, and that's going to be it for Berkey. Coach Curry coming out, second visit of the inning, so it's an automatic removal, but Coach has got to be pretty happy with what his right-hander did tonight. Pitching change here in the third inning. 2 on, 2 outs for Arkansas. We're scoreless. Hey, Todd, I know it's a midweek start and everything like that, but when you're 7-7 in the Ohio Valley Conference, you've dealt with a lot of injuries. You're looking for a bright spot, especially as you start the stretch run towards the end of the season. And Noah Berkey certainly gave Little Rock a nice little shot in the arm, something to think about as they go, especially considering how much of a veteran that he is.
That's the beauty of these midweek games, is you can find out a lot from guys that you know are going to have to throw. I mean, they know who they think they've got on the weekends, but you can find out a lot. And Noah Berkey was really good tonight. Walked a couple guys, but gave up the 2 hits there in that inning. But for 2 innings, he was pretty solid, and that's something you can use in the bullpen down the road.
He's responsible for the 2 men left on base is Hunter Royal, left-handed senior from Rogers, Arkansas, takes over on the bump. 24-plus innings, 1-1, and a 6.29 ERA. He's got Charles Davalon at third base, Behivo Loy at first base, and he's got to deal with Cam Koziol at the plate. Koziol lined out in the second inning, so he's 0 for 1.
I always felt like as a left-handed hitter, you had a better approach against a left-handed pitcher. You have to stay in there with your front right shoulder, and Cam Koziol does a fantastic job of that, hitting .344 against left-handers with the 3 home runs. But there really isn't any cheat involved in that swing. You know, I mean, again, if you're facing a right-handed pitcher, a lot of times we have a tendency to try to get the barrel out and hit a 500-foot home run to the pull side, and so it makes you roll over a lot of off speed. But against left-handers, you really got to stay in there because most of the pitches they throw are moving away from the barrel.
Good pitch underneath the hands. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And that was a great pitch. When you're looking out over the plate and away, and most likely the opposite direction, and then he handcuffs you on the inside, it's tough to get that barrel out in front.
2-2, try to get him to chase. Full count. Aloy will be off at the pitch at first base. No score here in the third. 3-2, chopper foul.
Same spot, middle in with that 89-mile-an-hour fastball. And if you're Kozel, you pretty much got to be looking for everything. He could drop a slider on him. But again, I think you're worried enough about Kozel that you're not just going to pump a fastball down the middle. That fastball in sets up the slider away.
Another payoff. Fastball just off the plate. Ball 4, and they're loaded up.
Wow. That was a really nice pitch from Hunter Royal. Whether it's a ball or a strike, it's off the plate by a little bit of it. It makes Kozel think twice. And I bet if you asked Kozel, he got fooled by that pitch and just a little bit outside. But that was a nice competitive fastball.
Love the work by Cade Martin, the freshman behind the plate. So quiet with the glove. Could not get the strike call. Here's Brent Iredale. First pitch is down low. 1 ball, no strikes. On the Razorback third baseman, he had a single the opposite way in the second.
And when you talk about the educated guess process, this is the action pitch right here. He doesn't want to go 2-0, so you've got a pretty good idea what's coming with the bases loaded and nowhere to put them. But he can't
2
make
balls,
the pitch.
no strikes. Yep.
Yeah, so now it's even more so. 2-0, nowhere to put him. Has to be a fastball center cut. And if you're a hitter, the only thing you've got to do is calm your nerves. This is another situation where you want to really pull the ball, and hit it a mile. And you've got to calm yourself down, hit it where it's pitched.
Almost got him to chase. 3-0. Iredale hitting over 600 with the bases loaded. And there's ball 4, 1-0 Arkansas. Iredale picks up his 51st run batted in.
Hunter Royal got a little spooked by contact right there. Walked Cam Kozel to get to Brent Iredale, and with the bases loaded, just didn't want to throw it over the plate, and ends up walking Iredale to bring up Gabe Fraser. Lefty on lefty matchup with 2 outs.
So Davalon scores the first run of the game. Frazier walked himself in the second inning. And if you're going to get a visit here soon, just try to change it up a little bit.
Well, Royal does have a high walk total, 17 walks this year already, and again, that's trouble.
Drops a breaking ball in there to even the count at 1-1. Frazier, a freshman out of Huntington Beach, California. He's been batting .263. And that's a wild pitch. Nothing that Cade Martin can do to block that ball. He did everything he could. Ball just shot to his right. Aloy scores, and it's 2-0 Arkansas.
Yeah, Hunter Royals landed a nice slider the pitch before. It just right there seemed like he wanted to throw it a little bit harder and try to get a swing and miss. He could have just done the same pitch he threw the pitch before and holds on to it a little bit too tight, doesn't get to the zone. And you're right, I don't think Martin had much of a chance there.
Second and third, 2 outs, 2-1 count. Chopper foul. Evens the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tough way to soak up those 2 runs if you're Noah Berkey. Going 2 2/3.
Yeah, he was great for 2 innings, Noah Berkey, and then started out this third base hit, you know, and then get him pulled, but pitched well, gave up these 2 runs so far, and the 7-0 Gabe Frazier now with a chance.
Little chopper to the right side. Chaplin has to come charging in, retires Frazier. 2 runs come across for the Razorbacks. They lead as we head to the 4th. We'll hear from Coach Van Horn when we return.
Belugas have the IQ of a human genius.
You know what else is genius, Richard? Getting a lower rate on your auto insurance by having NerdWallet match you with top providers.
Wow. Wait, you have insurance?
Cabin crew contact.
Yellow. Didn't pass the tissue test?
Dr. Garcia?
Buckle up.
Whoa! Crest Reality Checkup.
There's toothpaste white, and then there's Crest 3D White Strips white. Oh, one sec.
Crest 3D White Strips safely work below the enamel surface to whiten like a $400 professional treatment.
Prepare for a non-stop smile.
The #1 teeth whitening brand in America.
And use Crest 3D White toothpaste to maintain your smile.
Crest.
The SEC and SEC Network thank our official corporate sponsors for their continued support of our student athletes during every championship season.
Now it's time to huddle up with Arkansas head coach Dave Van Horn, brought to you by Regions Bank as we begin the top of the 4th. Coach Van Horn kind enough to join us from the dugout. And Skipper, I imagine that you're getting your guys ready, trying to focus on the weekend and the like, but it's got to be nice looking across the diamond, seeing your good friend, Coach Chris Curry, and seeing what he's been able to do over his 11 seasons at Little Rock, and get a chance to reminisce with him in person the last couple of days.
Yeah, he was with us as kind of our volunteer coach in 09 and 10. In 09, we went to the World Series. In 10, I think we went to a Super. He's doing a great job over there. And, you know, he's my friend all the time, but he's not my friend when we're playing.
Love it.
Coach, I mean, this game's funny, isn't it? You swept 3 of the first 4 weekends. Over the last 2 weekends, you won 1 game apiece against a red-hot Georgia, red-hot Texas A&M team. You go to Florida this weekend. Some call it a skid. You called it baseball. I love it.
Yeah, it's baseball, you know, and Florida's playing well. We'll have our hands full. I mean, it's, you know, Kevin does a great job. His staff, they have a lot of talent. And, yeah, you just play. And, you know, like these midweek games, you know, you don't want to use too much pitching. You want to get some guys some experience. Obviously, you know, you have to think about things like, hey, do I really want to steal my starting shortstop here because he could get hurt? You know, that's the way you look at some of these games. And but you got to play, and we got a beautiful day here. And, you know, we're looking forward to going to Florida. We're looking forward to all of our series. They are very, very tough on paper.
Coach, this one's grounded over to third base, and Ryan Geck will be retired for the first out. In talking about those last couple of series, I'd just like to get your honest perspective on it. You're facing really, really good teams prior to the SEC tournament. I would think that that's a good thing to challenge your guys before you really get into not only the tournament, but then obviously into the regionals and hopefully the supers and therefore.
Yeah, you know, anybody in this league's a major challenge. It doesn't matter where they are in the standing. If you don't play well, they'll beat you. And, you know, we've got, like I said, we got Florida on the road. We come back, we play Texas, and then we go to LSU, and then we get to finish with Tennessee. So, you know, pick your poison. They're all good. They're all well coached, very talented, and it'll definitely get us ready for what we're trying to do. And the whole league, every weekend gets you ready, and you just hope that when you hit the SEC tournament and then regionals that you're healthy, your team's feeling good about themselves. They all want to be there, and they're all united. And if that happens, man, you can play for a long time.
That's awesome. Coach, we really appreciate it. Good luck, not only tonight, but the rest of the way, and we'll see you in Hoover.
All right, then. We'll see you guys. Thank you.
You got it. Dave Van Horn, head coach of the Arkansas Razorback in his 23rd season. This one's lined out toward right field. It's a one-out base hit off the bat of Ty Rhodes.
You know, we talked about already what DVH has done. 7 College World Series appearances, 3-time SEC Coach of the Year. He actually took Nebraska to Omaha in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, and just an outstanding job that guy's done. Super nice. He actually recruited me out of high school at Texarkana Junior College, hour down the road from where I live. So I've known him a long, long time, and just a great baseball mind. You know, again, like I said, he's had teams that have more talent than others. I think this team is probably as talented as any team he's ever had, but it seems like every year he gets his kids to play to their best ability, and they love playing for him, which matters also. So, I mean, just what a great job he's done.
Quick mound visit by Little Rock here with 1 out, 1 on, 2-0. Razorbacks on top. The College World Series coming up. I mean, it's crazy to think we're going to turn the calendar to May here in a little just over a week. And then down the stretch they come.
Yeah. 7 out of the 8 national champions have come from this conference right here by 7 different teams. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's in
the SEC.
The SEC is just insane. It really is. And I know there's a lot of people complain about it, but they're just day in and day out, just ridiculous talent from a baseball perspective. And oh, by the way, let's throw in Texas and Oklahoma for good measure this year.
Oh man, and Texas 16-2 in the league right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're for real, number 1.
Cooper Chaplin, the batter, and the 1-0 is lifted out toward left center field. Davalon moving over, 2 down.
It really is crazy when you look at all the schedule, Vic. But I mean, for Arkansas, they're all very difficult. You heard DVH talk about it, but Arkansas, you know, playing Florida next week or this weekend coming up is much different than playing them the first few weeks of the year. Then they have Texas, LSU, and Tennessee. I mean, there is not a more difficult schedule than Arkansas has coming up these next 4 weekends.
Breaking ball misses down low on Cano. Little Rock's first baseman grounded out in the second, so he's 0 for 1. Little Rock with 3 singles in this game. They did have a man reach scoring position in the third, but unable to cash it in. That one's downstairs. 2 balls, no strikes.
You would think they'd try to steal right here. I mean, Becker hasn't thrown anybody out this year, 0 for 10. Ty Rhodes doesn't steal a lot. He's only 1 for 1, but Little Rock doesn't steal as a whole. They've only got 35 bags on the year, but this would be a good opportunity to try to get into scoring position.
2-1. Just enough movement. You talk about the sinker slider from Eves. Tough coverage, right, from a hitter's perspective, east and west.
Again, that movement where it looks down the middle as a hitter, and then when you go after it, it starts to move out of the zone, and that was a perfect pitch. You're right on the outside black.
And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to run it back in on the hands.
Well, and as you know as a coach, that's the educated guess process I'm talking about as a hitter. So once he throws away and gives you that look, then he comes back in. And as a hitter, you know if he showed you soft away, the percentages are, it's not guaranteed, but the percentages are the next pitch is the heater inside and then back outside. Yeah. The dance. That's the dance.
No. Oh, bark in the park in Fayetteville. Arkansas up 2-0 as we hit to the bottom of the 4th. 8-9-1 coming up for the Razorbacks. They're half of the 4th inning, 2-0 Razorbacks. And speaking of the 4th inning, this is the inning in which this offense has been, dare I say, prolific. They have been really, really good in the 4th innings this year. And there's The D1 ranks batting average, home runs, and then runs scored. 83 in the fourth inning.
They're already first overall in the SEC offensively, fourth in ERA, second defensively. And again, with the ERA, that's without Gage Wood, who just got back, and they're still waiting on Parker Coyle. But offensively, we've already talked about how powerful this offense is. Almost 400 in the fourth inning with 19 home runs. Kendall Diggs leads us off in the 8th spot.
Diggs popped out in the second inning. He's 0 for 1. The second of a 2-game midweek series between these two clubs. Arkansas taking the opener last night, 10-0. One ball, one strike.
This story's interesting. Kendall Diggs, as a freshman, hit a few walk-off home runs. You thought he was the next coming in the outfield, and then got hurt. And when he came back, just kind of wasn't the same. You know, he lost a little strength and some plate discipline, and they're trying to kind of ease him back in there, but he's got a lot of talent.
Oh, Seguin slipped, and they still get Diggs for the out. Hopefully he's all right. That's the second time we've seen a middle infielder slip on the turf.
Yeah, it's got to be wet out there or something. But to have that strong of an arm, Seguin to pick that up, slip, and not only have a strong enough arm to make that play, but to keep it on line. You see, Hunter Royal almost makes that play behind his back. But yeah, that grass has got to be slippery right there. You're right. That's the second time that's happened. A lot of times those sprinklers hit that spot differently than other spots, and that's also where it drains down to, you know, from the edge.
Razorback second baseman Gabe Frazier's had a little slip. Still made the play in the first inning. St. Becker, the catcher, who struck out in the second inning, as a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Hunter Royal came on with 2 outs in the third inning, walked 2 guys before getting the final out on a ground out. 2 runs that Arkansas scored, charged to Noah Berkey, the starter or opener today. Davalon on deck, upstairs. Swing on the off-speed pitch. A little run on the arm side run. 2 outs.
Yeah, Hunter Royal pulled the string on this one. Very nice. Good location, too. Low and away on the right-handed St. Becker. And that is tough. When you got the arm action the same as the fastball as a hitter, you see the fastball coming and it just never gets to you, and you're out in front.
Davalon 1 for 2. Singled to open up the third and scored one of the 2 runs. Last year hit .288 as a freshman with 10 home runs, 37 runs batted in at FGCU. Native of Canada. No balls.
Wears out left-handed pitching. Hit .472 with 3 home runs off left-handers.
I saw him play at second base a lot last year. Living down in the Naples area, got a chance to watch some FGCU games live. You could tell he was just a different cat. I mean, special dude.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, the bat to ball skills like we've talked about with Davalon are just elite. He had a big leg kick in the fall, and they tried to eliminate that a little bit because your timing has to be perfect when you got a lot of movement, and they settled him down a little bit.
This one hit out to center field, hit well, but it's playable. Will Banks is there. Razorbacks go down in order for the first time. 4 complete, 2-0 Arkansas. 2-0 Arkansas, top of the 5th here at Baum-Walker Stadium. 2-game series between Little Rock and the Razorbacks. Razorbacks taking the opener last night. They'll go to the bullpen, bring on the freshman lefty from Blue Springs, Missouri, as they say, the locals say. It's Cole Gibbler on the bump, 13th appearance, 1-1 with a 5.28 ERA for the freshman.
6 walks in 15 innings, but man, strikeouts. 33 strikeouts, 15, averaging over 2 strikeouts an inning for Cole Gibbler. The slider's real. Back that up with the fastball. And again, they're just going to use a whole lot of pitchers through this game. Bullpen guys just to eat up 1 or 2 innings, give them some experience moving into the weekend against Florida.
Heck of a staff. The staff ERA 3.81, led by that man right there, Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach, the assistant of the year in 2024. Just the work that he has put in. All the coaches across every team in college baseball puts in a ton of hours, a lot of work, and just trying to find the right pieces and get the most out of guys. It seems to have really clicked here at Arkansas under Coach Hobbs.
Well, he's been there 7 years, so a lot of it's just managing personalities and getting to know kids, and hopefully you can hold on to them a little while. And he's been around long enough to know, how to do that. And every kid's different. Personalities are different, and Matt Hobbs does a fantastic job with all that.
Bottom third of the order for Little Rock: Martin, Blaylock, Wilbanks. First pitch in there for a strike. And Gibbler's just got that build, right? The shoulders, the physique of a guy. It seems like he's going to get better and better with time, age, maturity. 0-1. Jammed him. Iredale. A little off-balance throw, and they get him for the first out. A Saturday, number 6 Florida, number 10 LSU started 3-game series. Game 1 coverage starts at 2 Eastern on ESPN2 and shifts to the SEC Network for Sunday's game, which begins at 6 Eastern, and Monday's series finale at 7 Eastern. College softball. Chase Blaylock with a single his first time up, looks at a strike. Steele Eves went 2 innings for Arkansas. Allowed 2 singles, had 1 strikeout, no walks. Gibbler, the third pitcher, used by Dave Van Horn. Colin Fisher started the game, went 2 innings himself with 2 punchies. 1-1.
You don't see a lot of this in college baseball. He's throwing inside. He's got that cutter into right-handers, and he's not afraid to hit the inner third. It makes that slider so effective. I mean, with a guy that this high strikeout total from Cole Gibbler, like that, he gets about 80% swing and misses on that pitch.
He got a swing and miss there, but reaching on the wild pitch is Blaylock. So man on with 1 out.
And the way you get swing and misses with that slider is just the tight spin on it. And again, when you're throwing inside and that hitter feels like he's got to get that bat to the out in front of the zone, then it makes the slider work. And especially with that tight slider, when it looks like a fastball, it's just hard to make contact with.
Wilbanks 0 for 1, reached on a fielder's choice in his first plate appearance. Yeah, you mentioned about pitching inside, and it doesn't happen often. What do they say? Just over 70% of pitches that a hitter is going to see in college is going to be middle away. And yet, it seems like college hitters seem to spend about 90% of the time trying to pull the ball.
I always felt like that was the most effective pitch. Like if a pitcher buried me fastball in for strike 1, it made you think. Now all of a sudden I got to get the bat to that pitch, and then it makes you susceptible to all the off speed. If they could prove they could throw it in there. But I think that's the theory on why a lot of these left-handed pitchers in college are better against right-handed hitters, because they can't throw inside, so the right-handed hitter is able to stay back and really look for that outside pitch like you're talking about, which if you're looking fastball away, you can also be on the off-speed pitches. But the fastball in is what ties all the hitters up.
A little too good of a pitch there with a 1-2 count. It's funny how that works, right? The psychological part of hitting that I don't think gets talked enough about, to be perfectly honest with you. I think the pitchers, they're a book. They're telling you what they can and can't do, and it's up to you to make the determination. And conversely, you flip the script. As if you're on the bump, hitters are telling you what they can and can't get to, and you got to pitch to those weaknesses.
But that's why I always thought, and I said earlier, that every pitch is a different mentality as a hitter, and there's another swing and miss on the slider. But it's changing. It's ever evolving as a hitter. And so if I swing and miss at a pitch like that, let's say a strike one on a slider, now as a hitter I know I can't do that again, so I'm looking for it. And then that's with the whole game between the pitcher and the hitter. Now, if I know he's looking for it, now is when the fastball inside works, and it just goes from there.
5th strikeout of the game, 2nd for Gibbler. Top of the order now, the Seguin, the shortstop, 0 for 2. No balls, 2 strikes.
Cole Gibbler up to 35 strikeouts in a little over 16 innings of work. I mean, that's impressive. 2 per inning is up there with the best in the league.
Foul tipped into the mitt. He strikes out essentially the side, even though one reached on the wild pitch.
Fastball at 93 to go along with that tight break slider right over the zone. And Cole Gibbler almost unhittable.
So, do you do tricks?
No, Richard, I'm a genius. I'm not doing tricks for you.
Right.
Oh, all right, fine. I'll show you one trick. Toss me your phone. Okay, here we go. NerdWallet will find the right credit card or auto insurance for you in minutes.
Yep, just by answering a few simple questions.
Wow, smart.
Yeah, it's smart. It's genius, Richard.
Genius, Richard.
Genius! Nerds!
We asked people who said they've had Domino's stuffed crust pizza before to compare it to our new stuffed crust.
That's better than the one they have currently.
Only Domino's has never had stuffed crust before.
Are you serious?
Until now. Introducing Domino's new and first ever stuffed crust pizza. Try one for the first time tonight.
This is phenomenal.
The SEC and SEC Network thank our official corporate sponsors for their continued support of our student athletes during every championship season.
Bark in the park in Fayetteville, 2-0 Razorbacks on top as we begin the bottom of the 5th inning. Good looking dog right there. A lot of them in the house. There's another one. And while I say that, I've got an Aussie at home that's probably going bonkers right now. Should be in Fayetteville. 2-0 Razorbacks on top. New pitcher on for Little Rock. It's the right-hander, junior right-hander. Texarkana. Malcolm Brown takes over on the bump.
Yeah, the junior from Texarkana, Texas. We just mentioned that earlier in the year. 91-93 on the fastball. Eats up left-handed hitters, believe it or not. Got the changeup working, plus changeup. Left-handers hitting less than 200 off Malcolm Brown. A little bit of a high walk total, 11 walks. But, again, just this game's in reach now. Little Rock can keep it here. They got a real shot.
2, 3, and 4 for Arkansas. Aloy, Maxwell, and Bowles. And Vahiva Shooting went down the line, but slicing foul and out of play. No balls and a strike. Vahiva Aloy 1 for 2. He had a single with a run scored in the third.
I mean, look at those numbers. 380 this year. I mean, he hit 270 last year. 100 points in 1 year.
This one towards the second baseman, Cooper Chaplin. Aloy retired. Looked like, sounded like the ball got off the end. One down. Yeah, you talk about Vahiva and improvement from a batting average perspective, and obviously all the other numbers go up with that. How about the draft stock that's gone up as well? That's uber talented young man. He's going to play a long time.
A lot of power. 15 home runs from a premium position at shortstop. He does have the 37 strikeouts and about, call it 200 plate appearances. Still high, but not compared to what it was in the past. But he's so strong, you know, that he can beat through a lot of that. And 380 on the year for Vahiva Aloy, and his brother Kuhio right behind him at 378. I mean, that's a talented family.
Absolutely no smack talking between the brothers. 2-0. Maxwell is ahead of the count. 3 balls, no strikes. Kuhio has got the day off today. There he is, just hanging out. Maxwell getting the start at DH. 3-1.
3 native Hawaiians on this roster for Arkansas. You talk about Nolan Souza, who got hurt in the Georgia series, sliding into third base, messed up his shoulder. But the Aloy brothers this season have done some damage.
Drops the breaking ball in for a strike, full boat.
I mean, look at the numbers with that. I mean, their average is basically the same, 379. Vahiva's got 15 home runs. Kuhio has 11.
Maxwell rips this one down the line, and he's going to hold at first with a 1-out single. Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers by the Aloys. You look at the stat sheet. It's like 1-2. Average. Get into the home runs factor. Runs batted in. It's an amazing tandem.
Yeah, and if I knew we were going to have to pronounce those 2 first names as much as we have, I would have practiced a little more. But, I mean, look at that. I mean, that's pretty incredible. You know, if you have a son that plays baseball, you just hope you got one of them that can do something like that. And they have 2.
2 and playing for the same team. How cool is that?
Yeah. Kuhio's a year behind Vahiva. But, yeah, pretty cool. Kuhio, BYU transfer, hit 269 last year. And his numbers up over 100%. So having them together obviously worked. The chemistry.
Carson Bowles ahead of the count at 2-0. Hitless today, 0 for 2. Maxwell over at first base. Second time he's reached. He walked back in the first. Ground ball left side, and that'll sneak through for a base hit.
Killing them softly tonight. The Arkansas offense, 5 singles. This ball finds 5.5 hole between third and short. 2 runners on for the Hogs. Cam Kojul coming up, and again, these guys that get on at the top of this lineup, and you look at the guy that's coming up, it's like, you know, it's dangerous, man. Cam Kojul and Brent Iredale. These next 2 guys can really go.
Kojul, the Vandy transfer. 0 for 1 with a walk. Time was called. They have a pickoff attempt. Time was called. And it's because of a clock violation, so it's a 1-0 count, it appears. Yep. The old pitch clock.
Yeah, we had a game the other night where dude from Mississippi State got struck out you know, because the batter has to be in the box with 8 seconds remaining, and he wasn't in the box in time, and that's strike 3. The new age of baseball we live in.
Good lead from Maxwell at second. Here's the 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Arkansas 0 for 5 with men in scoring position tonight. Three balls, no strikes. The ball gets away, but not far enough for Maxwell to advance from second.
Yeah, it seems like Little Rock's kind of been dancing around the zone a little too much in hitters counts. You know, I mean, you play the percentages, throw it in there, hopefully he hits it at somebody. But now you're in a big hole at 3-0 with nowhere to put him.
Three and one. I mean, because in theory, right? Like, listen, you know that Arkansas's got a terrific offense. But would you not be better served trying to get your defense to work behind you when you're ahead of the count as a pitcher rather than putting the hitter in good hitters counts? This one chopped on the ground towards second. They're going to try to turn 2. Slow flip. They back pick the third. And a heads-up play by Maxwell to get back to third base. 2 down.
Yeah, it would look like a tailor-made double play for Chaplin. Just either got stuck in his glove or wasn't able to give the flip in time for Seguin to make that turn. And nice job to improvise by Seguin. It turns around and probably would have got him at third if it was right on the money. And Rhodes was waiting on it. Good job right there, and that's the play. Yeah, a little off base there at third base.
First and third, 2 down. They'll pick off at first. Kojal back easily. Ireland's been on board twice. A single and a bases loaded walk.
Kojal's only sold 2 bags on the year. I don't know what they're worried about him at first base with 2 outs, except just to keep him close, get the force at second on a ball in the infield. But
Kojal fakes like he's going. That one misses outside. How many people looked at their phone when they heard the Ring doorbell in the stadium there?
Yeah, no kidding. And that's why it you know, again, I don't know why Malcolm Brown's paying too much attention to first base. It takes your attention off the zone. With 2 outs, we got to go after the hitter. Now it's 2-0.
Two balls, no strikes, and dogs just hanging out. What a life, right?
What a life.
No doubt. Visit to the mound here and actually going to make a move. Malcolm Brown is done. And there's the reason for the throws over to first, getting the guy in the bullpen hot. We're in the 5th inning, 2-0 Arkansas. It's up 2-0. They've got a couple of men on here in the 5th inning with 2 outs. And a new pitcher on for Little Rock. It's the senior right-hander out of Plano, Texas, Blake Van Cleve, coming on in relief of Malcolm Brown. Van Cleve, 16th appearance. He has 1 start under his belt, 2-2 with a 4.24 ERA, 39 strikeouts in 40 1/3 innings. And he gets the luxury, and I say that sarcastically, of facing Brent Iredell with a 2-0 count.
Yeah, one of their better guys out of the bullpen has 40 innings on the year, 39 strikeouts, only the 18 walks. Better against the left-handed hitters. I mean, the curveball and changeup works. About 50% swing and misses on those off-speed pitches to the left-handed hitters for the right-hander Van Cleve.
Maxwell, the base runner at third. Kojal at first. How about another pickoff throw?
Well, That ruins our theory about getting the guy in the bullpen ready unless they're already getting another one ready.
Right? Three balls, no strikes.
Yeah, and, I mean, how much have you seen it? You know, like you watching baseball and coaching, like you pay too much attention to the runners, and it takes your attention where it should be, and that's, you know, on the hitter, and just can't find the zone. Both Malcolm Brown and now Van Cleve.
3-1.
Most likely send the runner in motion here. Stay out of the force at second base.
And pretty close to being a strike. Instead, it's ball 4, and they're loaded up. So Iredale's been on board 3 times with a single and 2 base on balls.
Yeah, fourth walk by Little Rock given up, and those are as bad as the 5 errors we talked about yesterday. And Chris Curry, you know, had reiterated to his team, we can't be giving them, you know, easy opportunities, but they find themselves in the same position, just walking guys.
Working from the full windup, Gabe Frazier, the batter. He'll take outside for ball 1. Showing a bunt, drops it on the third base side. They'll go home for the force out. Not sure I understand that play, but okay. We'll head to the 6th inning. Arkansas's up 2-0. Close game tonight, but let's go back to 2 years ago. Little Rock taking on then number 5 Arkansas, and they're number 5 tonight, by the way. And they swung the bats well, picked up the victory, earned the split against Arkansas. One of only 2 losses by the Razorbacks against in-state rivals in a long, long time. And those 2 losses have come at the hands of Little Rock.
Yeah, so they have experience in this game, and they're in this one. Only down by 2. It feels a little like there's more of a gap there, you know, with all the walks and stuff going on with Little Rock. But look at Chris Curry right there getting his team fired up. And he's been in this position before, and they're in striking distance.
Yeah. Arkansas's left 8 men on base, gone 0 for 7 with men in score position. For me, there's your rallying cries, Little Rock. You're like, let's go. We're only down 2.
Yeah, the issue is they've gone now, 7 innings last night, plus now 5 innings in this game, and haven't scored. Well, they've been shut out the entire time they've been in Fayetteville.
2, 3, and 4 for the Trojans. Henry, Geck, and Rhodes. Facing Cole Gibbler in his 2nd inning of relief. Gibbler struck out 3 batters.
Get him. Get him.
Oh, a little chirping going on. Mark Hutchinson, the home plate umpire, looking toward the third base side. One ball, 2 strikes.
Good makeup from Cole Gibbler. I mean, for that 5.2 ERA, it doesn't look like, you know, that would be the case with the stuff that this guy has. And, you know, when they're tilted sideways like that, especially as a left-handed hitter, it made it tough for me because I was immediately looking middle in, because that what looks like the lead shoulder is going to lead him to do. And then, you know, then he goes away with everything, that slider and then the cutter away from the left-handed hitter. It just makes it tough. So even the way pitchers position themselves on the mound made me think differently at the plate.
Yeah, that closed stance right there, even though you're on the third base side, almost negates that, right? It
just doesn't feel like he's going to hit the outside corner that way, which he clearly can, like right there.
Yeah.
But when they start that way, you know, you immediately get this thought in your mind, all right, he's going to throw that sinker in on me. And when they go away, it's just difficult, especially at 93, 94 miles an hour. And this thing's a little elevated above the waist with a little cut, and that makes it difficult. And right about the time you start looking for that is when he drops that slider on you, and that's why Cole Gibbler gets so many swing and misses.
Here's Ryan Geck. Chops that one foul. The rule of thumb, right? Or you correct me if I'm wrong. It's like you see a guy on the bump that works from one side of the rubber or the other, and he's trying to make up for something, right? So if he's on the third base side as a left-handed pitcher, he's trying to make sure that he gets into the glove side. Unless, he's a two-seam guy, run away. And conversely, if you're on the first base side of the rubber, is that kind of how you looked at it?
Sometimes you can pick up on things like that, but I know as a hitter, I stay in the same spot no matter who I face. Now you can see his left foot's on the third base side, but for me as a hitter, I never moved in the box at all. I kept my feet in the same spot every time, unless I faced Tim Wakefield, the knuckleballer. Then I would move up a little bit. That was the only time. But whatever Cole Gibbler's doing, my goodness, he is just mowing them down. I mean, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikeouts in the last 6 hitters.
5 consecutive punch-outs.
Yeah, it's just high velocity fastball above the waist, and the threat of that slider. And they know, again, the numbers will show you on True Media that it's 80% swing and miss on that slider. That's a massive number. And so as a hitter, if you know that information going in, then you're a little spooked of it, and you're like, man, I got to watch out for that slider, and that's when the fastball works. But for me, before they had video, if you looked at the numbers on a chart, and the pitcher had more strikeouts than innings pitched, which for Cole Gibbler's double, then you knew he's a strikeout pitcher for a reason. With 2 strikes, he could bury you. So for me, facing a guy like Cole Gibbler, I went after the first strike I saw, and hopefully it was a fastball.
Breaking ball. This one out toward center field. It's going to fall in for a 2-out base hit. Ty Rhodes with 2 hits on the evening.
That's a nice piece of hitting. Can't really teach that. Bend the legs and go down with that slider and rip it into right field. And that's just a feel for the barrel and looking for that pitch like I was mentioning. And anything close, you just can't foul it off or take it. You got to put it in play. Nice job by Ty Rhodes ending that at bat.
Cooper Chaplin 0 for 2. Trojans leading hitter coming into play today. All 4 hits for Little Rock, singles.
I think that's the same for Arkansas too, right? Mm-hmm. Arkansas with 5 hits, all singles.
Yep. Arkansas's had a ton of traffic, just have not been able to cash anything in other than the 2 runs they got in the third. Courtesy of a walk and a wild pitch with the bases loaded. And delayed steal by Ty Rhodes, puts a man in scoring position.
Yeah, so the delayed steal means, and he's losing his pants. The delayed steal means that you kind of get your secondary lead and everybody falls asleep, and then he took off, and both the catcher, Becker, and Behiva Loy at shortstop just weren't paying attention at that moment.
Swing and a miss. Strikes out the side once again. He's got 6 punch outs in his 2 innings of work.
Just filthy. That slider on the outside corner, lefty on lefty matchup. Too much for Cooper Chaplin, Little Rock's best hitter, and Arkansas is off the field.
Beautiful night for baseball in Fayetteville. Arkansas trying to pick up the 2-game midweek sweep of Little Rock. 2-0. They lead it. And they're doing the chicken dance. Paul Walker, Diggs, Becker, Davalon. 8-9-1 coming up for the Razorbacks at Bark in the Park night. Great crowd on hand. Sun still shining. Love it. And college baseball has just grown so much, especially over the last 10 years. Todd, I'm slightly a little bit older than you, and I remember growing up in the Midwest, a couple hours away from Omaha and Kansas. And, back then it was University of Miami and LSU Oklahoma State, the Maine Black Bears always seem to find a way to get into the College World Series. Plus, then you've got the West Coast teams, and it's just, I just thought it was awesome then. And it just keeps getting better and better with each passing season, and the talent level is just off the charts across the board.
Well, that's because of the transfer portal, you know, the moving around the country without penalty, the NIL deals now. And you got a lot of first-rounders that, you know, turn down money to come to college. The ballparks are great. The atmosphere is great. We're on TV a lot more now. I think the excitement was there in Omaha, you know, in years past, but now it's throughout the season. People love it.
Got a little bit of a delay on the field. You see the last 5 seasons as far as the national champions are concerned, mix and match. There's a familiar trend right there. Those 5
in a row.
teams.
Yeah, 5 in a row by 5 different teams, and it's really 6 of the last 7 years. You know, 2018 was Oregon State. Arkansas and Oregon State played for the final that year. And then 17, Florida won the national championship. So 6 out of the last 7 years by SEC schools, and the most impressive thing about that, it's by 6 different teams. I mean, pretty incredible.
Ty Rhodes, who had the wardrobe malfunction, sliding into second base. Has a new pair of pants over at third. Diggs, Becker, and Davalon. 2 balls and no strikes. Trying to think of all the head coaches of the teams that I was just growing up with. Ron Frazier in Miami, Skip Bertman, who actually worked for Frazier before he took over at LSU. Gary Ward at Oklahoma State. Jim Brock at Arizona State. Just on Rod Dado at USC. This one's lifted out to center field. 1 down. Hey, Saturday we have a baseball triple header right here on the SEC Network. 10th ranked Georgia hosts 14th ranked Oklahoma at noon Eastern. Then number 5 Arkansas takes on Florida. We cap off the day with number 9 Vanderbilt, number 23 Ole Miss in Oxford.
Gene Stevenson, Wichita. Remember, Wichita State was significant back there. You know,
yes, sir.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yes, sir. Cliff Gustafson in Texas. Two quick outs to start the bottom of the 6th inning. Top of the order coming up now, Charles Davalon. I mean, Skip Bertman's just his career path trajectory from a high school coach in Miami Beach to, you know, living legend is just incredible.
Yeah, up under Ron Frazier at Miami, you know.
Yep.
And, you know, you can credit Ron Polk and Skip Bertman probably with the rise of college baseball to where we see it today. I mean, you know, when I was at LSU in the early 90s, we were still putting zip ties on the batting cage, which was outdoor, you know, and we had to throw to each other, and we had a bunch of tape on the L screen and all other kind of stuff. We raked our own infield, fixed our own home plates, you know, with that clay, you know, you'd have to fill the divots, and there were still times when you walked to the plate and you'd be standing in a hole. And, you know, from where all that was to where we are now, where, you know, here in Fayetteville, they got $1 million tunnel from the dugout or the locker room to the right field right there where, you know, they don't have to get wet if it rains. So
we got to bring the old Iron Mike batting practice machine back at some point. Right. We'll head to the 7th, 2-0 Arkansas.
Cole Gibler tonight, folks, was unbelievable. 6 strikeouts and 8 hitters that he faced. The slider was real. Elevated fastball, the cutter into the right-handers. 2 innings, only the 1 hit. And, man, as a freshman, this kid's got a lot to look forward to. Now the new pitcher, Ben Bybee. Yeah, I got you, Vic. Ben Bybee, the new pitcher. Electric fastball up to 96 miles an hour. Goes along with the slider and the changeup. Left-handed hitters hitting 234 off of him. Right-handers 246. And Ben Bybee, just another one of these talented guys for Arkansas. has 12 appearances. He does have 3 starts, 32 strikeouts with only the 8 walks in 30 innings. A lot of Arkansas pitchers getting work tonight.
Little Rock sending up 6, 7, and 8. They're half of the 7th. Arkansas pitching tonight. 9 strikeouts, 9 groundouts, and 1 flyout. Cano's 0 for 2. Grounded out in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. One. A bouncer foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bobby out of Overland Park, Kansas.
8 pitchers used between these two teams, and we're not done yet. And I would have thought, Vic, that this was going to be an offensive night. 2-0 in the 7th.
Yeah, agreed. Just off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Could be hit or miss, right? Sometimes if you get the cavalcade of relievers, hitters can, it's like almost feast or famine, right? They're either going to just light it up, or because you're getting different looks and guys throwing strikes, it becomes difficult. It's Cano went around on the breaking ball. They'll apply the tag, and there's a strikeout. 10th of the night. Hey, Sunday morning right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app, we'll have the Men's Golf Championship from Sea Island Golf Club for the 24th straight year. 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, with a match play format to determine the title. Good old gorgeous Sea Island Golf Club, Georgia.
Yeah, that's
breaking ball a little bit high.
That's what I thought, when we talked about, a hitter facing a pitcher. Like, in the old days, when you'd face a starter, for the 4th and 5th time in a game because they could last, it for me as a hitter, it became a little less difficult, and unless some of the great ones, were able to adapt along with you, so he'd show you something different in your 3rd at bat than you saw in the 1st at bat, which is rare. But now with a bunch of pitching movements and changes, and your timing's off, and you haven't got the release point yet, it does make it more difficult, as you start facing different guys in a game.
1-2 count on Cade Martin, who's grounded out twice tonight. Breaking ball, a swing and a miss. 2 down.
Hammer. All I've got is K's in the last 3 innings on my scorecard. This is nuts. And one guy reached base. This is a perfect 12-6 breaking ball from Ben Bybee. And Cade Martin, the 7th spot, just no chance.
I still love that pitch, the curveball, like the true 12-6 curveball. And I know a lot of professional teams, college guys like to, get pitchers to throw sliders. But man, if you could master that 12-6.
Yeah, it's got to have a lot of the old Barry Zito, Ben McDonald, like these big 12-6 curveballs, It's hard to find a contact point with that pitch, but they don't like it much anymore because, it still hangs in the zone. They want everything moving away from the barrel, both right and left-handers. But I'm with you, man. I faced Barry Zito enough to know that big looping curveball is very difficult to square up.
3 balls, 1 strike on Jace Blaylock, who is 1 for 2. Yeah, everyone loves Barry Zito for all the strikeouts that he used to rack up in games and stuff like that. Not really an overpowering guy, but the fact that he lived with that fastball up there, the top part of the strike zone, and then threw the breaking ball from up there as well. It just he just used to carve up big league hitters.
Well, when he let it go, it was over your head. Like, you couldn't imagine that ball is going to come back in the zone. That's what made it so effective. It's such a big break to it. You know, Kerry Woods was a little different. That one had such tight spin, and Roy Oswalt, that, you know, you couldn't really figure out where that was going to land either. But I mean, they were like, I remember when Kerry Wood threw me his first curveball, I thought it was a fastball, and you know, I must have missed it by 5 feet. And even in the big leagues, you can see spin on a lot of those curveballs or sliders, but with Kerry Wood, I couldn't pick it up. And there are a few in the big leagues, Paul Shuey, that just threw these nasty breaking balls. You know, I mean,
Greg Olson.
Greg Olson, another big one, you know, and yeah, it seems like every pitcher back in those days threw that 12-6 curveball. You know, now everybody's gotten away from it.
We're going to get a pinch hitter here. Sammy Harris hitting for Reed Wilbanks with 2 outs and a man on. There's a .292 batting average this year with a couple of home runs, 16 runs batted in. Wilbanks finishes the evening going 0 for 2. Leadoff man Alex Seguin is on deck.
Little Rock's just going to figure out a way to score. Didn't score last night, having a tough time tonight, and that's when you heard Chris Curry talk about manufacturing this stuff, like stealing bags or whatever. This is a tough situation because you don't want to leave your 9-hole, you know, standing at the plate by getting blown up at second base for the 3rd out. So a little bit more difficult to take that risk right now to steal second base.
Little Rock's had 2 men reach scoring position. First was in the 3rd. The last was in the 6th. One of the 6th game with 2 outs. High fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bobby,
yeah,
quick throw to first base.
Yeah, and I think your point's taken. Like, you know, if you're going to throw that big loop curveball, then you got to be able to pitch up in the zone. But in order to pitch up in the zone, you got to have some velocity with the fastball. But as a hitter, you know, you're never looking low. You know, trying to, you know, your eyesight's not low. It's always high against a pitcher like Bibby. And so when he throws that curveball, you're looking up, and it just drops below the barrel.
And back to the fastball at 94. So the count remains at 2-2.
And you know, I don't know if it's anybody's ever like articulated how to hit a curveball. You hear a lot of people say, you know, I was good in baseball in high school, but I couldn't hit the curveball. It's just seeing it over and over and over again, and just, you know, kind of having that muscle memory, you know. But other than that, I don't know if you can really teach somebody how to hit a curveball.
This one's skied out toward right center field to the warning track, to the gap, and being caught for out number 3. Devlon hauls it in. Stretch time, 2-0 Arkansas.
Hoover, Alabama is the site as we roll on of the SEC tournament. Star power galore. It is gone and it is over.
Not that far away. May 20th, the SEC tournament in Hoover, Alabama. Getting things started as far as the downstretch. Regionals, super regionals leading up to Omaha, Nebraska, the College World Series. 16-team single elimination bracket.
Yeah, they invite everybody this year. And you want to be one of those top 4 seeds, double bye. You wouldn't play till the tournament starts Tuesday. You wouldn't play till Thursday, save all that pitching. So if you want to win the tournament, that's what you want to be, a 1 through 4 seed. And Tennessee swept it all. Co-champs in the SEC regular season, won the tournament, and won the College World Series last year.
Razorbacks up 2-0 here in the bottom of the 7th. 2, 3, and 4. Aloy, Maxwell, and Bulls. Vahiva 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored in the 3rd inning. Breaking ball, and that is skied out to deep right field. Hanging breaking ball launched the opposite way. Vahiva Aloy goes big fly for the 16th time this year.
That ball was smoked. How about the balance by Vahiva Aloy? And a lot of times when you see guys sit and watch it, it's because they've got such perfect balance. And he let that ball travel the backspin to the opposite side, and that ball got out in a hurry. Vahiva Aloy, a lot of power.
Dot, I'm going to give you an observation, and you tell me if I'm right, wrong, or just off my rocker. Early in the count, the first couple of pitches, they were trying to throw hard up in the zone, right? And then all of a sudden they throw the breaking ball, and where was that breaking ball? Up in the zone, and he did not miss it at all. Avalon fouls it off, or pardon me, Maxwell fouls it off.
Yeah, and it's part of like that educated guess process when they're burying me inside. Well, they're not going to keep doing that, so at some point they're going to throw that off speed, and you know, but that's the maturity of Vahiva Aloy as a hitter. Is he's starting to think along with pitchers, and so when they come inside on me, all right, throw that curveball out and away because you're trying to get me to speed my bat head up, and then he sits back on it and just crush that ball to right field.
1-2 pitch, just missed inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Maxwell the DH, 1 for 2, single and a walk. For Arkansas, the 90th home run they've hit this year as a team.
How about Georgia? 105 home runs this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas is third. Tennessee's got 97 on the year. Arkansas with 90.
Got him upstairs. The fastball, 1 away.
Well, there's an example of how it's supposed to work. You know, you get that elevated fastball up in there. And as a hitter, when I saw it, you know, the reason you can't lay off it a lot of times is because it's closer to your eyes, and so it looks bigger, and it looks like you can catch up to it. But if it's got any velocity behind it, it's very difficult to get a barrel on it. And right there, you show Logan Maxwell at the 3-hole just got it blown right by him.
Carson Bowles swinging first pitch, fouls it back. Bowles had a single in his last plate appearance, so he's 1 for 2. Check that, 1 for 3.
Man, those pitches are close. Threw it low and away to Bowles, didn't get the call, and then that one right there.
Well, you can hear Mark Hutchinson say that ball's down. I don't.
Close.
Our definitions of down might differ slightly. Ground ball off the end of the bat towards short. Seguin over to first, low throw. Dug out by Cano, 2 down. Bring up Kojal.
Blake Van Cleve's been good since he came in the game. Outside of that blast by Vahiva start this inning.
Van Cleve has worked 2 1/3 thus far. Kojal 0 for 2 with a walk. Home run by Vahiva Aloy, the first extra base hit of this game.
Yeah, we already talked about the offense. I mean, Arkansas's got 4 hitters hitting over 370. The Aloy brothers, Charles Davalon, and then Cam Kojal, all over 370. It's just pretty incredible when you talk about 4 of the top 10 hitters in this conference are from Arkansas.
Evens the count up.
You know what's great about Davalon and Kojal, especially, they're doing it inside the conference too. Hitting well within those 18 games they've played so far.
Chopper to the right side. It's going to be a tough play. Cano flips to Van Cleve. And the third out is recorded. Vahiva Aloy with the big fly, extending the Arkansas lead.
Some big-time damage from the two-spot Vahiva Aloy to right field to balance the swing. And, man, that did really go. What a blast by Arkansas, up by 3.
3-0 Arkansas leading it. And Vahiva Aloy with a home run in the 7th. Wanted to go back to that pitch sequence, Todd, that we were talking about, or at least that I brought up to you, and what they were trying to do to him.
Yeah, the educated guess process. So he shows him the curveball, strike one. Okay, now I've seen it. Then he tries to elevate the fastball, misses out and away. Comes back with an elevated fastball that they wanted a little higher to set up this next pitch. And Vahiva Aloy just thinking along with him. Sees the break. He's already seen the first pitch. Gets it hung out over the zone and doesn't try to pull it. Just stays through the zone and just smoked it to right.
16th home run of the year, 48th run batted in. A multi-hit game for Vahiva Aloy. As we start the 8th inning, 3-0. Top of the order coming up as new pitcher on the bump for Arkansas. Christian Fouch, 13th appearance, 1-0 and a 5.40 ERA. So Gwine, Henry, and Geck, 1-2-3 for Little Rock. Alex 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. One.
High velocity fastball coming from Christian Fouts. You think his numbers would be better than they are with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball in his back pocket, but again, a lot of times it doesn't matter how hard you throw. If they know it's coming, a lot of guys in the SEC can turn it around. And having a little bit of a difficult time landing his off speed, but still has a high strikeout total at 15 with only the 11 innings.
That's some fuzz right down the middle at 97. The 1-2. Right back to 99.
Yeah. And Seguin, who knows it's coming still that late on the pitch. And that's why velocity is important, because as a hitter, if you don't throw hard enough, I can sit on your off speed and I can react to your fastball. But if you throw 100, now all of a sudden I got to cheat to the fastball, and it makes all your off speed work.
Ground ball. Cut off by Iredale. Straightens up, fires across. There's out number 1 to start the 8th. Last 4 innings. How about that, man?
God, have they been good? A lot of that Cole Gibbler, but 8 strikeouts with, the most impressive thing I like is the no walks. And you can strike out, not strike out people, but you start walking people, you're in trouble. Little Rock's done a little bit of that tonight, but only the 2 hits with 13 batters faced. And we've already talked about the offense that Arkansas has, but they're top 3 in all 3 major categories within the conference of the SEC. And we've talked about how great the conference has been. Arkansas is the real deal this year.
11 total strikeouts for the Razorbacks pitching staff. Zach Henry, the DH, 0 for 3. One ball, 1 strike. 5 hits for Little Rock. They've only had 1 man start the inning getting on base. And that was a leadoff single by Jace Blaylock in the 3rd inning. One man reached scoring position. That was in the 6th. 1-2. Justin Thomas Jr. is the new center fielder. So Davalon finishes the game going 1 for 4. Oh, pardon me, they move him left. Yeah, Carson Bowles is out of the game.
You know, you want to talk about Little Rock's offense, which isn't great this year, but you got to give a lot of credit to Arkansas and what they've done on the mound over the last couple days. I mean, they've been incredibly impressive. A lot of strikeouts, pounding the zone.
Good breaking ball. Down he goes. Strikeout number 12 for the Razorbacks. 2 outs.
Man, that pitch just dropped off the table. That's the one, unless you're in the box, you don't know, but that's the one that looks like the fastball. And it just, I mean, you can actually see the seams on that replay. What a great shot. And it just, if you're looking for that high velocity fastball and they drop that on you, good luck.
That's the one you're exhaling as you swing the bat through the zone. You see the ball disappear under your bat. You're like,
well,
it's there. It's there,
yeah,
and it's not.
I already mentioned Paul Shuey. Like, one of my first at-bats in the big leagues was in Cleveland, and I'm facing that guy. And he threw me. I ended up walking just because I didn't recognize any pitch he threw. You know, and it was so nasty with pitches like that that you know, when the inning was over, I walked back, and people asked me what he's got. I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't see any of it. just everything sped up, you know.
He was a tall dude too, right?
Oh, he was dirty, man. He had, it seemed like he had 10 different pitches. And, you know, things start to slow down the longer you're there. But, man, early on, the pitches coming from those big league guys, it just was overwhelming.
So 2 quick outs and falling behind at 3 balls, no strikes. Ryan Geck was 1 for 3. Three and 1.
You know, that's why I quickly learned, Vic, that I had to adopt my 2-strike approach for my entire at-bat, because you had to be so quick, you know, to be able to react. Not all of your at-bat is a reactionary deal. I mean, you're thinking along with the pitcher and trying to guess, educated guess like I'm talking about. But there are times when you just have to be defensive and look for just about everything. And, man, you've got to be quick with the barrel to be able to do that.
Got a little equipment issue here. Hey, folks, following our game tonight, stay tuned for SEC Inside. It grants you an all-access pass to the Tennessee softball team. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sound from players and coaches, a real behind-the-scenes look. Full count now on Geck. The 2 outs here in the 8th inning. 3-0 Arkansas. Here's the payoff. Fouled off. Geck is a big dude. 6'5", 225 out of Long Beach. Team leader in doubles and RBIs. Had a single back in the 1st. Another payoff. And he lost him. A 2-out free pass. The first one issued by Razorback pitching.
Nice at back by Ryan Geck. Gets to 3-0, gets the 2 fastballs late on the 1. And he knew a fastball was coming, and that ball rode inside on him. Little Rock with a little bit of life here in the 8th inning. 2 outs.
You got a man at the plate. It's got a couple of knocks tonight. Ty Rhodes, 2 singles. Rhodes has also picked up a stolen base and a new pair of pants.
And the only good thing about a guy that throws 97, 98, 99 miles an hour is he's going to use it. And so right there you see the right approach by Ty Rhodes. Let's go after the first one. You just hate when you miss it like that or foul it off because then you don't really know what to expect. Little Rock only had 3 hits last night. Ty Rhodes was one of them. 1 hit, 7 innings shutout. Arkansas won that game last night 10-0.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 for 3 tonight. The rest of the team 3 for 26. Rhodes going with the Eric Sogard starter kit with the glasses. It's a good looking pair of specs, man.
Well, seeing's important.
That's what they say, you know.
Yeah. I had that going on for a little bit before I got LASIK surgery, and then changed everything. But man, I couldn't. The frames of the glasses would get in my way, looking down or up or whatever.
Two. Foul tipped into the mitt for out number 3. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th inning with Arkansas still up.
Well, that was filthy. 100 miles an hour. Come back with that. What was that pitch? That's what Ty Rhodes is asking. Arkansas up by 3 going to the bottom of the 8th.
Bottom of the 8th inning, it's 3-0. Arkansas is on top. 13 strikeouts for Razorback pitching. 8 the last 13 batters faced. Bark in the Park night in Fayetteville as the Razorbacks trying to complete the 2-game midweek sweep of Little Rock after picking up the victory in 7 innings last night, 10-0. New pitcher on the bump for Little Rock. Josh Beasley out for his 15th appearance.
11 walks in those 13 innings. Sinker slider from Josh Beasley, not overpowering, 81-85 with the fastball, and slider to go along with it. So you can imagine he's got to hit his spots, or else they see a lot of these pitches coming from Josh Beasley, who has near a 12 ERA in the 13 innings. But these guys, Vic, can be just as effective, for one time through the lineup, because as a hitter, it's hard to stay back after having seen 90-95 all game long, and then you come back with Beasley.
A little funky look here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Iredale, Frazier, and Diggs. Little Australian matchup. Iredale skies this one behind second base. But it almost looked like Seguin had the hands out like he couldn't see it or something. 1 down.
Yeah, and you don't really want to do that because then the rest of the infield panics and feels like they've got to take over. But he caught up to it. Didn't spin that much. That ball was hit so high. A lot of times that ball will spin toward the outfield, and you got to be moving your feet to stay with it, but that one came straight down. And this at bat,
Frazier 0 for 2.
Yeah, this at bat as a left-handed hitter was always difficult too, because you can't look to pull a guy like Beasley. The velocity's not there, and that sinker is moving to the outside part of the plate. So this is truly the at-bat when you look up the middle the other way, eliminate the pull side. If you get in a hitter's count, and he elevates it, you can try to, like that pitch right there. But this was a tough one because the minute you start to look like you're going to pull this guy is when you end up rolling over to the first base or second base side. And you really have to stay through a guy like this as a left-handed hitter.
Frazier's last plate appearance was back in the 5th inning with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and he tried to bunt. And it ended up being a fielder's choice, and they got the 3rd out at the plate. That's a Huntington Beach, California native. Played high school baseball at Orange Lutheran High School, powerhouse in Southern California and across the nation. 1-2. Off the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Comes from a baseball family. His dad, Joe, played for Augie Garrido at Cal State Fullerton. There's another one of those throwbacks we were talking about. Good old Augie.
Yep. Fullerton and then Texas.
Yep.
One of the best.
2-2. This opposite way, and that'll sneak through for a base hit. Good piece of hitting. A 1-out single for Frazier.
That's the approach. That's the approach you have to take if you're a left-handed hitter. He did get one pitch he could pull up in the zone, but that's, rare. Most of them are going to be pinned on that outside corner. Great job by Frazier just staying back and driving that to left. That's his dad, Joe.
Yeah. 1995 National Championship with the Titans.
We got blown off the field in 1994 in Omaha. They had a center fielder, Dante Powell.
Oh, yeah.
The first-round pick, if you remember that name. We had lost to Florida State in the opener with Paul Wilson, the number 1 pick in the draft that year in 1994. Then we played Fullerton. Man, they must have beat us 15-3 or something crazy.
That 95 team was Kotze on that team?
Yeah, that's right. Pretty talented group.
Yeah.
But again, that's when Fullerton was good every year, and a lot of these mid-majors, would make it to Omaha. And last year, for example, out of the 30 Division I conferences that we have, only 2 were represented in Omaha. We had 4 ACC teams and 4 SEC teams.
Yeah, Kotze was on that team, sure enough.
Pepperdine was good back then.
They
won it all.
Very good.
Didn't they win it? When did they win it? 92, right?
That was Andy Lopez, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy Giambi was on that 95 Titans team. Mike Lamb.
Jeremy Giambi. I played with him.
Yep. How about the staff? Augie, George Horton, Rick Vanderhook, Mike Kirby. Trying to steal second base, and the throw is not in time. Stole a base for Gabe Frazier.
We had a run, 2013, 14, 15, somewhere in there where a Big West team was making it every year to Omaha. Different team. And, again, we talked about the change of everything now with the NIL and transfer portal, everybody wanting to play in the SEC. It's just become top-heavy again.
They intentionally walked Diggs after the stolen base. So first and second with 1 out. St. Becker, the hitter. Arkansas 0 for 7 tonight with men in scoring position. A little breaking ball is cut on and missed. Becker 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts and a fly ball to right.
Well, and the reason they do that, too, is to set up the double play. And this is a perfect guy on the mound, Josh Beasley, to be able to get that with the ball darting down low in the zone. Gets a lot of ground balls.
Ryan Helfrich took over for Becker. My apologies. .313 average this year for the sophomore. Slider in for a strike.
You can see Beasley really trying to make an effort to keep that ball at or below the knees. And I like this approach by Helfrich, just to be patient with it, see a few of them. Because you go after something early, that's when you definitely beat it in the ground.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on. With 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 3-0 Arkansas. Full count.
Now this is a situation where we put the runners in motion. Just stay out of the double play. If you know that your hitter Helfrich's not going to swing and miss, and you trust him on that, and you take off. Beasley kind of sensing that. Keep Frazier close at second base.
Three-two, and he got him with a breaking ball. 2 down.
Well, they did the right thing. That's a strike him out, throw him out if they ran. And nice pitch by Beasley. How about that? Like a slider that didn't slide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those you see it, right? You're waiting for it to come back across, and it never does.
That thing almost had sinker action on a slider.
Hey, do you think guys can actually throw a backup slider or backup breaking ball?
Oh, man, I wasn't a pitcher. That would be a question for a pitcher. But, you know, we were talking to the Alabama coach, Rob Vaughn, earlier today, and he was talking about his, superstar shortstop, LeBron. It's like he starts facing a bunch of inventive pitches. Like, the pitcher has to invent something to get him out on, and so that seemed like that was one right there.
Davila 1 for 4 with a single and a run scored. Breaking ball outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Little Rock in their half of the 9th inning have Chaplin, Cano, and Martin. Three and one.
But I will say this, especially in the big leagues, and that, it wasn't easier in the big leagues than it was in Double-A, but in Double-A they really didn't have any idea. They had the stuff that big league pitchers do. They just didn't really know where it was going. When you get to the big leagues, if you know he's doing something and he's trying to do something, he usually does it. And so that would make it a little less difficult in the big leagues, but I don't ever remember them trying to throw a slider and then ended up not sliding.
There's a base hit that'll bring home a run. It's 4-0 Arkansas. The ball comes in the middle part of the infield, and Davila does not take second base. He picks up the RBI, his 44th of the season.
This guy can really swing the bat. I mean, that ball is out over the outside part of the plate, and he finds the barrel and pulls it. The right center field for base hit, and RBI extends the lead for Arkansas to 4. And I tell you what, especially Davila and Kojul, I mean, these guys are hitting close to 400 in SEC play to go along with the Alloy brothers. It's just tough to navigate through this Arkansas lineup.
Pitching change here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 1 run in for the Razorbacks. They're on top 4-0.
Belugas have the IQ of a human genius.
You know what else is genius, Richard? Getting a lower rate on your auto insurance by having NerdWallet match you with top providers.
Wow. Wait, you have insurance?
It's going on now. The Memorial Day sale at Fayetteville Auto Park. Special Memorial Day pricing in effect on new Acuras, Chevys, Hondas, and Toyotas for a limited time only at Fayetteville Auto Park. Best brands, best place, best people, best inventory. Plus Memorial Day savings at Fayetteville Auto Park, West Showroom Drive in Fayetteville. FayettevilleAutoPark.com.
The SEC softball tournament.
The competition in this league is so tight.
It's anybody's ball game.
The SEC softball tournament begins Tuesday on SEC Network, presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Are you ready?
4-0. Arkansas is on top, looking for more here in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs. Coach Curry has gone back to the bullpen. Brought in Robert Bavon to try to get Vahiva Aloy for the third out.
And that's a lot to ask for Bavon. High 80s fastball. Better against right-handed hitters, only hit 250 off of him. Lefty's close to 300. Fastball slider change from Robert Bavon's only giving up the 5 hits and 5 1/3. 7 walks, that's a little much. But having to go through 2, 3, 4 in this Arkansas lineup.
Yeah, he's got to face Aloy here with 2 outs. And Aloy, his last at-bat, got a hanging breaking ball and did not miss it.
Yeah, we know what not to throw to Vahiva Aloy. Saw a breaking ball earlier in that at-bat, and the second one he crashed to right field for his 16th home run of the year. And that was last inning. Comes up again in his 5th at-bat. Did get a base hit back in the 3rd. 2 for 4 in this game for Vahiva Aloy. 6 home runs in April.
Runners at 1st and 3rd. First pitch runs in off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Davalon is over at first base. Diggs at 3rd. One 0. 2 balls, no strikes. Not sure Vahiva has enjoyed those last 2 pitches in off the plate. Slider, and it's 3-0.
Well, you can imagine it's definitely hard to get any kind of feel. He's only thrown 5 innings on the year for Robert Bavon, and now to pitch in Fayetteville, it's just really difficult to, to throw strikes in this environment, in this situation, and especially facing a guy like Aloy.
I thought up 4-0 they'd let Vahiva let it fly on 3-0.
Well, you're going to get the same pitch here. I mean,
yeah. See the reaction.
He did, and he knows he missed a chance right there. Now he can kind of drop anything he wants. Got him in swing mode. Even a slider might get a swing and miss, but that's the pitch he wanted. And watch Vahiva. Oh my goodness. Right there.
Davalon will take off of the pitch once again. Here's the payoff. And he did go with the slider, almost like he dropped down a little bit more so. 1 run in for Arkansas. We'll head to the 9th.
Well, Robert Bavon sets him up well. 3-1 swinging, fouled off, and then drops the slider for strike 3.
Hey, it's the top of the 9th at Baum-Walker Stadium. 4-0. Razorbacks on top, trying to finish off this 2-game midweek sweep of Little Rock. Will McIntyre takes over on the bump to try to close it out. He'll get Chaplin, Cano, and Martin.
Low 90s fastball from Will McIntyre. Impeccable command. Only the 2 walks on the year with 19 strikeouts and 17 2/3. It's susceptible to long balls, giving up 4 home runs. Opponent's only hitting 188 off Will McIntyre, but this is who you want, whether it's a close game or not. Late in the game is a guy that can pump strikes in there. Will McIntyre, one of the best.
Trying to close it out for Arkansas and pick up their 36th victory of the season and their 27th at home. Nothing beats having the kids and the dogs today at the park, having fun, enjoying on a beautiful night.
An ice cream.
Oh, yes, sir.
What is that? Is that what that is?
Might be one of those slushies.
Yeah, slushy. That's probably a better guess.
The dude knew he was on camera. Did you see that?
Gave a little thumbs up.
Yes, he did.
Nice.
Cooper Chaplin 0 for 3. Ground out, fly ball out, and a strikeout. No balls, 2 strikes. There he is.
He's staring that camera down, too.
He knows the red light's on.
Yeah, so there he goes.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night for out number 1 here in the 9th.
Yeah, really didn't mess around with anything off speed, just fastball, 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 and that one was center cut. And Cooper Chaplin outguessed himself. You know, a lot of times as a hitter, you can start looking for the nastiest stuff you might see and then get fooled by something just right down the middle.
Angel Cano is 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts. Little slider misses down and away. Foul back. One ball, one strike. Little Rock would drop to 18-22 on the year. They will take on SIUE this weekend, beginning on Friday. Ohio Valley Conference matchup.
You know, we talked
one of the better teams.
We talked to Chris Curry, that guy right there, you know, was talking about, you know, when the rosters, you know, they have to be at 34 next fall. And so what that means is for like high-level Division I programs who have more guys sitting the bench on their roster now funnels down into a program like Little Rock. And so he just feels like the talent's going to be better. You just can't miss. And he was telling us a lot, you know, about how this summer they're going to be more active than they've ever been at Little Rock and trying to find that talent.
Yeah, once that dust settles, it'll be the Wild Wild West, and it'll be a mad sprint for everybody.
But you do have, you know, guys sitting benches on Division I. You know, LSU, Arkansas has got one that we saw tonight. And Carson Bowles, only making his 10th start of the year, hitting 370. You're seeing a lot of that now in Division I, you know, high-level programs of guys that can really play. But they're sitting the bench behind, you know, better talent, whatever the case may be. And those guys can play, you know, and play every day at other places. And that's what Chris Curry was telling us about. That's his selling point is, you know, come over here and play every day. We're going to play Arkansas and programs like that, and, you know, you get a real shot.
Back-to-back strikeouts from McIntyre. 2 down.
Well, McIntyre showing off his fastball tonight. 2 strikeouts in a row. That one also center cut, just right down the middle. Swing through it by Cano. And that is a lot of strikeouts for this Arkansas staff tonight. What was that, 15?
15. That dog will hunt, as they say.
Nice.
0-1. Cade Martin 0 for 3. Arkansas, as we pointed out earlier, will head down to Gainesville to take on the Gators this weekend. They're looking to bounce back after a tough couple of weekends. Last one against Texas A&M. 0-2.
Florida's been really good last 2 weekends. Swept Missouri and beat Mississippi State 2 out of 3.
About
after
this
that
time
rough
last
start.
year, right? They did the same thing?
Yeah. After that rough start that they had, they're starting to pick it up. So there is a difference on when you play teams in this schedule, and Arkansas seems like they're getting the raw end of that deal, facing A&M and Florida back-to-back, who struggled earlier in the year.
Greg Stanczyk said he did not go, so it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. McIntyre's 1-2 pitches outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Should the inning continue, Jace Blaylock on deck. Full count. It's a lot of K's up there. 3-2, ground ball left side over to third. Ireland's got it across the diamond. Arkansas picks up the shutout victory by the final of 4-0.
Razorbacks improved to 27-3 in Fayetteville. Still holding on to that. It's very difficult to beat Arkansas. First back-to-back shutouts for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they are really good this year, offensively, defensively, and we showed tonight how much they can get the pitching going and the strikeouts. Wow, what a night for Arkansas.
They pick up the 2-game sweep of Little Rock. For Todd Walker and our entire crew, I'm saying Victor Rojas saying good night from Fayetteville as Arkansas picks up the victory by the final of 4-0.